Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're new to the channel, please click on that subscribe button below and hit that alarm bell so that way you're alerted every time I put out new content. Today we are at Travis Point Country Club again, and we are going to break in our brand new drone here. We are going to work on the mid-range wedge shot, the shot that no matter what level of player you are going to find yourself in that 30 to 60 or 70 yard range time after time. So let's get on the golf course and start learning this technique. We are here on the beautiful 8th hole at Travis Point, a nice dog leg right par 4, out of bounds to the left and to the right. No shortage of challenge here, and if you hit a good drive, then you can put yourself in position to really score on this tough par 4. We're gonna hit 30, 40, 50, and 60 yard shots, and I'm gonna do all of that using my trusty 60-degree lob wedge. All right, so here we go. We are gonna talk about the closest of the mid-range wedge shots, which is gonna be our 30 yard shot. And it's this little tweener area that's a little bit more than a pitch, but not quite, a half or 3/4 swing where we start to really pivot and turn with some more force. The 30 yard shot is one that we're gonna set up a lot like a pitch shot, in that I'm gonna play the ball back in my stance. So you'll see here, I've got it located just inside of my right foot. And I have the ball just inside of my right foot, but I'm also gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open up this club face a little bit. And I open up the club face to help create a little bit more spin and help, control this golf ball when it lands on the ground. A lot of players from this distance are gonna hit a shot that doesn't have a lot of spin, so when it lands, it rolls out a little bit more than they would like to have. So we're gonna play the ball a little bit back in our stance. We're gonna let the club face sit a little bit open, and here's a key part of opening the club face, folks. You open the club face first, and then you take your grip. If we have our grip on the club and then we open the club face up, we've distorted our grip and we're really gonna make it a lot more challenging to deliver the club the way we want to. So we're in between this pitch shot and half type shot, where the wrist, the second lever of the golf swing, isn't really yet gonna be a full contributor to the force and the launch of this golf ball. I want you all to feel a very symmetrical length swing back and through, and you'll see one that I create here that's going to be about waist high to waist high, and the Y shape that my arms and the shaft create is going to be maintained back and through, because my hands and my wrists aren't yet going to contribute to the force of this shot. So let's see if we can't demonstrate this. I got the ball a little back in my stance, the club face a little bit open. You see I've used a narrower stance here because I still want to put a little bit extra weight in my front foot, just like I do when I'm hitting chips and pitches greenside. My weight's a little bit forward. The handle is always going to be forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the handle is always going to start on the inside of your lead leg. The weight on these short shots is also going to be on top of that lead leg. Then from here, we just use our trunk and our shoulders to turn and rotate to create the energy. Our lower body is going to move, but it moves only in a way that supports the top half rotation. Let's see how this looks. Hands forward, weight forward, trunk turns. Now we've moved back to the 40 yard shot. And while it's only 10 yards different than the previous shot, our wrists now start to get a little bit more involved in the equation. And that happens because as my swing gets longer, the force and the weight of this club head starts to create a little bit more hinging action in my wrists and my hands. I also start to include my lower body as more of an energy creator. There's going to be more force created by my lower body now, whereas the 30 yard shot, my lower body was just reactional to the top half. Now my lower body is going to start to contribute a little bit. Not fully the way I would on a full shot, but Now my lower body's gonna start to kick into gear a little bit, you know, find that first gear number where I start to help the top half create some force. Move that ball position forward a little bit, and it's still just a little bit behind center yet. And I'm gonna have the club face still a little bit open, not a ton, pretty close to how my 30-yard shot was. But because now I have 10 yards more of distance and force that's created, I'm still able to create a lot of spin with a face that isn't totally open. It's only just a little bit open. So let's go over some of the constants that we have in place here. The handle's always forward, my weight's always forward still here because I still don't have a half swing yet. And now I'm gonna feel a little bit more hinge. And again, I'm gonna try to make it look very symmetrical from one side to the next. Let's check out 40 yards. All right, now we've progressed back to the 50-yard shot. Absolutely one of the most common yardages we're gonna find out here. When we've gone from 30 to 40, we increased the width of the arc, the length of the arc, and we started to add a little bit of a wrist hinge to it. In addition to that, our lower body started to pick up some speed to help create more energy so that we're not relying solely on the top half of our body to create the force. Now at 50 yards, this is a nice little half swing for me. Again, I'm using my 60-degree wedge here. So this is a nice little half swing for me. And because it's a half swing, I'll feel that the club is swinging about into this position here, back and through. And because I'm increasing the speed, because of the distance, I'm starting to create more spin without having to open the club face anymore. So, still I'm a little bit narrow, but I'm starting to get wider as I go because as I use my lower body more for force, I've got to create more stability so that way I'm in the most control of the movement that I can possibly create. So my face is just a little bit open. The ball is just behind center still here. I've got a little bit of extra pressure on my left foot, but not near as much as I had at 30 and not as much as I had at 40 either. And I'm gonna feel this wrist hinge a little bit more, and now my lower body is really gonna start shifting gears to pick up a little bit more speed. Nice spin, one bounce and grab, just the way I like to deliver this 50-yard shot. So now we're at the 60-yard shot, and quite honestly, the 60-yard shot is one of my go-to yardages when I'm playing. If I'm in a par 5 and I'm trying to just lay up if I can't get there, or you know, if I'm having some issues off the tee on a par 4 and I'm just trying to get myself back in position, this 60-yard shot is my personal favorite with my 60 degree because it's this swing that I feel like is my left arm is parallel to the ground, and I swing through and my right arm is parallel to the ground. My arms and hands can hinge and unhinge, kind of like they do with the full shot, and my lower body really gets to participate. You know, again, shifting gears from first gear to second gear. Now we're inching into third gear here, where I feel like my lower body is really starting to help create that speed that's really gonna help spin that golf ball. Ball position wise, I still leave it a little bit behind center, so I'm presetting a little bit extra weight into my left side. Still here with my 60-yard shot, I'll be about 55, 45 still, maybe 60, 40, where I'm still giving a little bit extra tension to my left foot. So here we go. The face is gonna be pretty square, maybe just fractionally open, but pretty square by now, because at this distance, I'm creating enough speed where I'm gonna stop the golf ball with the speed alone, and I don't necessarily need to have a really open face to do it. I might just be a couple degrees open, but it's very marginal at this stage. And again, the ball position is gonna be a little bit behind center, as I have here. My stance is getting just gradually wider as I go. And now I'm gonna feel that parallel left arm to parallel right arm movement that is gonna create this nice little 60-yard shot for me and my 60-degree wedge. So let's go. Ball a little back, stance a little wider, a little bit of extra pressure in my left heel, just a little bit. And now my lower body starts kicking in a little bit more force. Use these nice setup techniques, 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards, because once we get back to about 70 yards and more, I'm starting to take my 60 degree and really opening up the speed with my body, my lower body and my upper body, and I'm starting to hit more of a 3/4 type shot, which recruits the entire chain of movement from the ground up. And that's how we hit our mid-range shots. Thanks again for joining us today, everybody. I hope that you were able to learn some things today in this 30, 40, 50, 60 yard range. It is such a crucial yardage for us to get comfortable with a stock shot that we can go to every single time. The key to scoring is always going to be inside of 100 yards, and these little feel shots are the ones that can really be a make or break point for us each round. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week.